Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about my trip to New Zealand. Now, I know I've posted some videos before of New Zealand, but this weekend, while I was home, I was putting together a photo book of New Zealand, and I thought this is the best way for me to come across what New Zealand is really about, is to show you my photo book and explain what's going on. Well, since my photo book was 101 pages, I'm going to divide it into sections. So the first section that you're going to be watching today is adventure. Now, if you're an adventurist, New Zealand is definitely the place to go to. You can find any kind of adventure there. Now, I have never bungee jumped before. I was always a bit afraid to do it. Even though I do these extreme adventures, I still get the adrenaline going, and I think that's what I like about it, is it gets my adrenaline up. So first picture you see is jumping off of the platform, off the Auckland Bridge. All right, if you could see my face, it actually doesn't look too scary. Everything prior to that was very scary for me when they were hooking the boots on me, and then they had me like kind of inch my way to the platform and look down. That was very scary. But once I jumped in this picture that you see, everything was so calm and it was amazing. I can't even tell you the experience that I had. So let's look at the next picture here. And on this one that we see is the process of going in. It's the jump off, and then it's coming down, hooked by my feet. And they were going to put your hair into the water and part of your face into the water. But at this point in time, the water was quite low, and this was as far as the bungee would go. Sometimes it comes up higher. So it was such a fun experience. Once I hit the water part, you catapult up, which I didn't think. I thought when you bungee jump, you go down and it pulls you up by your feet and you're going up and down like this. Well, it doesn't. You go down and it catapults you up so your head is up. My head was level with the bridge when I came up on the first time. And the only thing I could think of is that, oh, my head is going to hit the bridge, which it didn't. And then you go down and up a couple times. Once your bungee is done, you have to unrig yourself from it so you can come up sitting up. And that's a fear of some people. Like, what if I can't do it? Well, if you can't, then you have to get pulled up, head down. But I was able to do it sitting up. One of the most greatest experiences I ever did. And the reason I waited and I had to do it was in New Zealand, because that is where bungee originated. The next adventurous thing that I did is jumping off the Sky Tower in Auckland. Okay, this is over 650 feet high. And what they do is they bring you to the top, they check your weight and electronically, and then they drop you according to how heavy you are. Now you have to jump off this by yourself. This one, I was a little nervous, but not as nervous as the bungee, because I felt that I was in a harness that, wouldn't jerk my back. And besides on the bungee, it did not hurt my back. It was really fun. So don't be afraid of that. So here I am coming down off of the Sky Tower, and you're just kind of floating in. It's very fast, and once you're free fall maybe for about 6-7 seconds, and then you could feel the machine lowering you down. And it's very cool looking out over the whole city. The most scary thing is jumping off when all you could see is the world down below. So another great thing to do is the Sky Tower jump. After that, I went and I did the Sky Tower walk. Now, you could do the jump, right, which is kind of like a bungee. Now, the walk actually was the most terrifying thing out of everything I ever did in New Zealand. And I'll tell you why. Because you're on a little tiny platform over 600 feet up. Now, you have one wire on you. And, of course, if you fell off, you would be dangling 600 and some feet from the building, and you'd have to crawl back on. And it was the most windy day ever. We didn't think they were going to let us out there because the wind was so bad. Once we got out there, it was just an effort just to hold myself on. So as you can see on this picture here, I have one leg off. I wanted to lean off of the edge, but it was my fear was holding me back a little bit on that. And you can see they take 6 people out at a time. You walk around 360-degree circle, and there's a picture there where you can see me leaning backwards and leaning forward. That, I don't know why. I think it's the most safest control thing you could do, but for me, it was the scariest. So if you go there in Auckland, you could do both those at the same time. You could do the jump and also the walk. Now, the next thing you see is I climbed the Auckland Bridge. They don't do this too many places. I think they do it in Sydney as well. So here you have the bridge, and you go down below, and they have, like, you go through all the mechanics and stuff, and then you walk yourself up to the bridge. This thing I thought was very cool. I was not afraid. You could see that I'm out there kicking on top of the bridge, very controlled. My friend and I, we both did this together, and watched the cars below and a beautiful thing of the city. So to me, this one wasn't scary. It was just a lot of fun. The next thing I did in Auckland was skydive. Now, I have done skydiving before at 14,000 feet. Well, now New Zealand is one of the few places in the entire world where you could jump at 20,000 feet. They give you options to go 12, 14, 16, 20,000, and 20,000 is the max. So me, I'm with my friend. She actually wanted to do 20,000. I don't know if I would have done it, probably, because I'd always say, hey, if I'm going to go for it, just go for it all the way. So I'm a little bit nervous about this. You need oxygen when you're in the airplane, because when you're above 16,000, you have to have a mask on. The pilot does, the instructors do. So we get in there, I get the mask on, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. Like here, I think we have another picture that we could see right now here. This is getting ready to go, and this is the jump. And once you're getting out of the plane, right? Once people start going, you have to take your mask off. I was the last one to get off, and I'm thinking, here I am, 10 seconds without oxygen. So by the time we got to the door, we went. He didn't even say ready to go, anything like that. You have to hurry up and get out of there because the plane is just leveled at this point for so long, 20,000 feet. And you can look, you can see the whole world. What an awesome experience. But when I jumped, it wasn't like when I jumped 14,000. I was having a great time. This is great. When I did the 20,000 feet, it felt like someone had a bunch of ice and stuck it up my nose. I couldn't breathe at all. I couldn't breathe. And now I'm starting to panic. And the first thing in my mind is like, let me off of here. And I'm like, oh, not happening. You know, you're stuck now. You got to go all the way down. He had a little camera on his wrist, and he kept tapping me to look at it. And I'm like, how can I look in the camera? I got to focus on breathing. So I'd look and I go, and then I come back and go to that. And once we dropped to about 16,000 feet, I could start breathing. But then I felt something in my ear, like my ear was ringing. So I felt a little bit off, but I'm still enjoying it now, going, okay, at least I could breathe, because I couldn't breathe at all, right? So we come down, and I feel a little woozy, you know, I'm like, and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, that was great, you know, and I'm like, whoa. It took maybe about 30 minutes for my ear to settle down. So it definitely, you have to sign waivers that you could have a brain aneurysm, you know, you could die, all this stuff for it. And I just kept going, are you sure it's okay? Is it okay? And they're like, yeah, you're fine. And I was fine. But 20,000 feet, that's awesome to go and do that in New Zealand. Then I have scuba diving. I have never scuba dived before, and this was interesting because I've heard you always got to go and take lessons, and you got to get certified before you go down. Well, here, we're on a boat, and the instructor gives 5 minutes of lessons. 5 minutes, and then we're going down to scuba dive. So she's like, don't worry, she said, the only thing I want you to know is to take the respirator out of your mouth, whatever it's called, this little thing, and be able to put it back in. So we go down, and my mask did not fit me. My friend who went with me, she had a mask that fit her, which was so much better because water and air kept getting in. And she was saying, just look up and the water will come down. Well, it wasn't coming down, and all I could see was water, and it was bugging me, right? So I pulled the respirator out, And I thought for some reason when I pull this out, I will clear my mask. And then and she looked at me, her eyes got really big, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I put it back in. I did it 3 times. And she said, that's the hardest thing for people to do when they're scuba diving, is to take that off because you have no air. And then like get nervous and afraid to put it in. But I kept doing that for some reason, thinking that that's what I was supposed to do. So I went down for maybe about 30 minutes. We were going to go down 45 to an hour. And then my head started feeling a little bit funny. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go up. And because I wasn't feeling it. There's my friend and I in the pictures. Then I went snorkeling, and then I also went paddle boarding. So I had a little bit of the scuba, and I told some of my friends that, my head coming up like that, is that normal? And they said, yeah, for your first dive ever, and you didn't know what you were doing. So now I want to take regular scuba diving lessons and get certified. So that was my scuba dive experience in New Zealand. The next adventure I did was Whitewater rafting. Okay, this here is so treacherous because we go down the highest waterfall in New Zealand that is allowed for commercial crafts to go down. And it's a 50-50 chance that you're going to tip or you're not. And one of my biggest fears is being in a raft and tipped over and getting under the undertow. And they put me in the front. I'm in the front. And he's going, oh, okay, we have a couple rapids to go down and then we'll change people. So I'm thinking the big rapid is going to come later on. So we get in there, we go down one, and I go, oh, yeah, that was fine. Then he pulls us off to the side. And I'm like, what are we doing off to the side here? And he's preparing us for the big ass rapid that we're going to go down. And I look at my friend and I said, we're in the front, right? So he goes, everybody just hang on tight. If you get stuck under it, don't panic, just go out. So here we are. We're going down and we get halfway down the raft and I feel it. We're tipping and I'm like in my mind, oh my God, the raft is tipping on top of my head. It tips on top of us, right? My helmet was too big. I have a small head. And every time they give me a helmet, if they don't let me put a baseball cap under it, it's too big. It comes on top of my face. I'm under the raft. I can't see. The first thing I think of is get my helmet up, wipe my eyes, and I look and I go, okay, I'm under the raft. It's still floating. The water is towing underneath you, but you have air there. So you don't panic and then gradually come under. So I come under and then I start floating down the river in the rapids with my helmet again on my face because it wouldn't stay on. I put it on. I finally get to a part of the water where I can hang on, and then the raft comes and gets you. So I have some pictures here where that's not the raft that we tipped at, but I do, let's see. Yes, you see up in the corner, the first up there, that's tipped. I am not out from under it yet. Someone took a video. I watched the video, which I have on YouTube here too. I was the second to the last one to pop up. And they said they have a guy that goes around in a canoe, right? Or a kayak to get you if you don't come up. He's on the other side. He's not even on my side. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was under that so long. But you know what? I'm glad I tipped over because now I know that I can survive tipping over without freaking out and panicking. So that's our whitewater experience. Then I also kayaked. Kayaking, I love to kayak. I'm a big fan of kayaking. Very calm, very nice. Kayaking you could always do. Now, my next adventure, this one was so awesome. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's at Franz Josef Glacier. The only way to get to it is to get helicoptered up. So we get in the helicopter. Now I'm a little nervous about just getting in the helicopter. Never mind, I've climbed glaciers before. I trekked them with the ice shoes on and everything. No problem there. It's the helicopter landing on a peak. So we get up, we get in the helicopter, we land, and then we trekked around, and you could look, there were beautiful like ice carvings and ice caves that you could go into. There's springs up there, and like this is just like untouched. The only way you can get up there is through a company with a helicopter, and you see pictures of the helicopter, and just an awesome experience. There's some more peaks up there. And, it's really cold. It's really cold up there, but you're trekking up and down like on the ice. So you get kind of warm, and a lot of the people were canceled. We were lucky we got to go up there because when the weather is bad, the winds are really bad, you have a 50% chance you're going to go up. We actually did skydiving in Queenstown and got canceled. So that's why we ended up doing in Auckland. But you have to be prepared that 50% of the adventures do not go because of the high winds that they get all year round. So glacier trekking, awesome. Another fun thing that we did was K-Jet. Again, originated in New Zealand, and you're just on a speedboat that does 360-degree turns really fast. So if you like speed and you like boats and you like being on the water, this is something definitely to try. And then this was an awesome experience. This was in Queenstown. I did the canyon swing. I did that before in Mexico. Well, this time I said, my friend and I were going to go tandem, but we're going backwards. Going backwards is really hard to do. The easiest way is to go forward or to sit down and they just drop you. This is going backwards and you have no control of what you're doing. And all the instructor said to us is you have to go the same time, because if you don't go the same time, one person is going to be like this and it's going to be all weird and tangled. So my friend looks at me and she goes, I'm going when he says go. And I was like, all right. So he said go, and we jumped, and you could see going all the way down into the canyon. The only other way, which we wanted to do, once we realized how much fun this was and it wasn't too bad, we wanted to do it single and get dropped head first, kind of like a bungee, but they were closing and we couldn't do it. And again, the wind situation was starting to get up, and we were the only group that went out that day because of the wind. He said, okay, we're going to chance it. So that was fun, canyon swinging. Then another cool thing that I've only seen in New Zealand is black water rafting. Okay, to be able to do this, you have to get in an inner tube and jump with the tube into rushing water and be able to swim across. You're in caves. It's really cold. It's really dark, but it's an awesome experience. You go down 6-foot falls, so you might tip over, you might fall over in the water. But the coolest thing is you see glowworms. They're attached to the caves. Everybody shuts their lights out, and you could see all the glowworms. Awesome experience. The reason you have helmets on is because you're going through some rigid, jagged rocks coming in. It's natural wonder. This thing isn't made for people to go. It's just pure nature. And it's something that I think America might not let people do because it does have a dangerous effect. And here's some more. You can see us inside the cave. And this is a fun thing now that I did. It's called sand surfing. Wasn't scary at all, more fun, but what they do is you find some dunes and you get on the dunes and you just sand down like a boogie board. So here's some cool pictures. In the corner you could see me coming down, and then we paddleboard, and then we also went and we saw some amazing rock formations, amazing natural geographical rock formation. So that was like really cool. And the last thing I'm going to talk about today is doing this trek, Tongariro trek. It is the longest one-day hike, I think, in the world. And it's very interesting because remember in Lord of the Rings, they had Modar. That was the volcano, and this is an active volcano as well, where Gollum shot the ring down. A very small crew were helicoptered up there. They didn't hike because it normally takes 10 hours. We did it in 8.5. But the terrain, you could see, we're going from the sun, we're going to rain, we're going to ice and snow, and there's signs all over the place like, are you fit to do this? Make sure you could do it. And you get to a point, they say there's no turning back right now. You have to go. And when you get to the top, you get to the top of a red crater. And what red crater is, it's a volcanic erosion that's all red. Let's see, can we see it here in one of the pictures? Yeah, there it is. And you think, oh, I'm at the top. Now it's all downhill. Well, it's not. Then you go to the Emerald Lakes, the beautiful green lakes that you see, but you're scrambling down a hill that is probably 100 feet high of rocks. Half the people I saw fell going down, but to me, I like that. Downhill is so much better than uphill, and I kind of just slid down with my poles and had a great time. And then you think it's all downhill from here. Oh no, then you're up and then you're down. And I tell you, at the end of the day, we were so exhausted, but it was such a feat to complete the whole trek in 8.5 hours, nonstop. So for you trekkers out there, one of the most awesome day treks you could do. So that was my section. I know there's a lot. There's so much to say and so much to see. But for you adventurers out there, you have to go to New Zealand. It was in the north part of the island and the south part of the island. Major, major adventure time. So thank you. Thank you. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight about the adventures in New Zealand. Take care. Stay safe. See you soon. Hi, this is Cynthia Rothrock. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. And if you like the videos, please put a like on it and refer it to your friends.